Welcome to Driven for Health. I'm Coach Brian Parana, episode 67. And we're going to be going over why your weight isn't dropping, even when you feel like you're doing everything right. This is for guys over 40s or 50s that have families, lots of responsibility, career driven guys that are fed up with things not working. They don't want to go the GLP route. They don't want to do a weird fad diet, a keto, any of that stuff. Okay. We don't do that. If you've listened to any of the 66 uh, things here, this is what we want you to focus on. Now, one of the most important, frustrating things in fitness is working hard and not getting any feedback, right? How many times you see people at Planet Fitness, at Lifetime, at Equinox, at the 24-hour gym? They're just there all the time, but their body hasn't changed. They're sweating. They show up consistently a couple days a week. They lift weights and this nothing changes. The body literally looks the exact same as it did. Sometimes it goes up, other times it goes down, but it messes with your head either way because you start thinking, what's the point? I might as well throw in the towel. If I'm going to be fat, I'll just be fat and be happy with it and just eat whatever I want and stop with all this effort that isn't getting me anywhere. Maybe it's again, you go back to thinking metabolism, genetics, hormones, it's your age. Sometimes those things do matter. Genetics can play a role, but oftentimes it's your lifestyle, it's your habits, your behaviors that are causing the challenges that are going on. So it could be really simple and something that you haven't been paying attention to. And that's the main idea is break down some of these little tiny basic things that are getting in the way of you because fat loss is basic math. Yes, calories in, calories out matters quite a bit. Sure, there are other things to your complex human body, but we want to start with that. And then we go from there with your activity, with your calorie intake and understanding how this works. So, the two things that drive your results are the target that you want to get to, your goal, and your ability to stick to the target. A lot of men stay stuck and plateau because they aren't consistent enough in their effort for long enough in their effort to reach the target, or the target is wrong. They're headed in the wrong direction and they don't even realize it. Now I'm gonna walk you through these 5 fat loss stalls, and as you go, I want you to listen in and take notes and make sure that you're paying attention because what gets measured gets done, what gets tracked gets adjusted, and there's follow through. That's a key divider that you'll hear in episode 34 with Lucas, episode 43 with Mike, episode 53 with Andy. They followed through, and those 3 guys lost 98 total pounds in my Call to Rise 100-day program. Lost a lot of fat, changed a lot of their life in a big, big way. Now, a quick favor, if you are getting some value from this, can you subscribe, follow, give me a review? That'd be awesome. It'll take you just a few seconds. And man, it does wonders for my stats. I do look at my analytics and I appreciate them. I appreciate all my listeners that are here with me. All right. Reason number 1, your calorie target is wrong for your real life. A lot of guys are in a calorie deficit on paper. They use MyFitnessPal, online calculators, the calorie calculators. They use ChatGPT, and they get this number and think, okay, great. I'll just eat like this. Their meal plan, their macros, their calorie amount. And I can't tell you how many times I ran my numbers through a calorie online calculator with my basal metabolic rate and my body fat percentage and all that stuff. It's real, but it's not dynamic with your body and your life. The problem is in a calculator. Problem is believing that a calculator is the hard truth. Your body, everyone's metabolism can vary quite a bit off of what the normal is. There are two types of maintenance calories. Calculated maintenance is an estimate. That estimate is based on what you tell the app, your height, your weight, your activity level. The issue is that a lot of guys overrate themselves. They give themselves more, sometimes a lot more than they actually do move. Hey, I'm super active, but their activity throughout the course of the week is not that. They think, oh, I lift 4 or 5 days a week, so I must be active. Well, outside of that, it's that age old adage: what do you do the other 23 hours of the day? If you sit most of the day, then what we got is and you drive to and from work or at shoot, I had driven to my kids' middle school twice today. That's 30-minute round trip. So there's an hour driving just for that. My steps might not be so high, even though I was really busy or active or not at home or anything. So the calculator doesn't watch what happens in real time, your schedule, the stress, the weekends, a little bite here, a sit down longer than you thought there. Now, your actual maintenance is a reality, and it's the calorie intake where your weight stays stable over time in your everyday life. Factoring in things like your real step count, your sleep number, your stress and cortisol that's getting released, how much you travel, how many times you eat out, do you track or not? Here's a simple analogy to wind it up there. Use a calculator to set calories is like building a budget in a spreadsheet, but never checking your bank account. The budget looks great, clean, exact what it should be. And the bank statements tell you what your real truth is about what's in the bank and how much you can or can't spend. Your scale trend is the bank statement. Okay. We need to look at the brass tacks. If you're not losing weight, you're not in calorie deficit, plain and simple. There's things that I keep bringing up are identity moments that I always like to hone in on. And today, right now, if you don't have trending data, then you're guessing. Like, that's just it. Bring me the data, not the drama. Okay, well, let's go one layer deeper now. Even when you hit your calories, your output can change. This is where NEAT, non exercise activity thermogenesis, comes in. NEAT's the movement of me. If you're watching video, move my arms like I'm running, and as I'm sitting here, I'm moving my head, I'm pivoting my body. That is NEAT. That is the fidgeting, the activity, the walking, the ups, the downs, all of that. Walking to your car, literally, pacing on calls, taking the stairs, moving about your house, drinking some water, being the guy that always does something. I don't sit a lot in my house. I'm always up and moving and doing things. When you diet, NEAT often drops without you noticing. You sit a little bit longer, you rest at the gym a little bit more, you might do less sets and reps, then you don't move as much, your body's conserving energy. So your deficit can actually shrink in terms of what you think you're doing and burning versus what you actually are. That is why some guys lose weight the first couple of weeks and then the scale starts stalling out because they might not be adjusting their calories appropriately. And this is where the tracking can come in. If you think you're at 22,000 calories, but in real life you're at 2230, those 230 extra calories move you toward calorie maintenance. And real simple, you're human. Another common example is oils. 1 tablespoon of olive oil is 120 calories. That is, what is that? That is 14 grams of fat. And we have sauces, ranch, mayo, ketchup, drizzled here or there. We have protein add-ons that you think are protein but are really fat. Nuts, seeds, cheese, peanut butter. You have things like alcohol, coffee that has extra calories in it, or that notion of I'll just have just one, but you actually have more. Those tastes, licks, bites, those are real. Oftentimes, here's a tip, write this down. But if you're out at a party, a really simple way to assess calories that you eat is just call it 50 calories a bite. So all those hors d'oeuvres and such can be 50 calories a bite, and then that allows you to be able to see what you're actually doing. And yes, the one lady that I came up with this years ago, this was probably about 5 years ago, she did a lot of after school parent teacher conferences, organizations. She was a principal at school. So many food related situations would come up that caused her to overeat if she was not paying very close attention. Here's another real example. You make a healthy dinner, it's chicken, rice, vegetables, pretty simple. On paper, it looks great, but you added the oil, you added some sauce, you threw in some chopped nuts to give it a little crunch, and you took a couple bites of your kid's food. You end up having 2 drinks later in the night. That dinner that was only 600 calories now is 1,300 without you realizing it. So, how do you fix this without living in an app forever? I'm a big fan of Chronometer for people that work with me and start off. That allows them to become very food and calorie aware. That's really important. But at the very least, you track yourself for 14 days, 2 weeks. I always tell all my clients in 2 weeks, you're going to learn so much about what you're eating and how it is. And honestly, the only way to understand where your calorie lines are is through actually tracking. You literally have to track. I move this much, I eat this much, and this is what my body does. So I'm going to track 2,000 calories. I'm going to move 10K steps. I'm going to work out 3 days a week. At the end of the week, did I lose weight? If not, then we need to go lower or we need to double down on how we're tracking. And humans will just stop being as accurate as they think they are at certain points because of diet fatigue and things. Reason number two, your deficit is too aggressive. This is pretty huge. A lot of guys have been white knuckling for way too long. They've done the keto thing, they've done the aggressive, I'm just going to run until all the weight comes off, and they cut these huge calorie deficits. And it works, but if it worked for long term, then you wouldn't gain the weight back and some. And if that is your situation, you have to do it different. I love middle gear mentality. You have to understand when life throws something at you, you have to adjust. Here's an analogy. An aggressive deficit is like driving your truck, your fast car in the red all week. It moves fast at first, then it runs out of gas. And all of a sudden, you're really conscious and conserving energy as much as possible. Try not to drive anywhere until you get to the gas station again. By the weekend, you're on empty, and you'll take whatever fuel you can get anywhere you can find it. And that's just honestly what happens is people will cut, and then they overeat and they end up overdoing it for a lot of the week's deficit has been erased in one day. If your plan only works Monday through Thursday, then it's not a plan. And here's what real life looks like. You wake up Monday, you're locked in, ready to go. It's International Chest Day. Your calories are low, protein's up. You get the gym, you get the steps, and by Thursday, you're worn out because you don't have any energy. You don't have any carbs. You don't have any gas to keep you moving. At that point, your stress hormones are up. your body is really doubling down on ghrelin. We explained ghrelin a couple episodes ago. Let's see real quick. Let me reference which one that was. It was 50. Uh, what episode was it? 8, 47, 49? No, 47, 47. Episode 47 was when we went over different hormones in your body. So ghrelin is a hunger hormone and it gets you to want to eat. And so if you're stressed out and you're low on calories, then ghrelin's going to be up. Leptin is its opposite, and that's the one that tells your body to let go of weight and lose weight. So by Thursday, ghrelin's up and you are hungry. You are ready to eat. And then the weekend has plans and it's different routine and you fall off. Then Monday comes back and then you're back at it with zero loss, and you're frustrated. It's a very incredibly common process that I go through with a lot of clients. All right. You can still lose weight doing that type of approach, but you really have to, Monday through Friday has to be white knuckled to cover the weekends. I mean, we don't want that. We need to find some sort of a longitudinal approach that works better. Now, a lot of guys think that deficits are boring. They eat the same things over and over. I'm not talking about chicken, broccoli, and rice, but the general, say, calories and macros. Those are the things that need to stay, keeping your protein up, eating your calories slightly below maintenance, getting enough adequate amount of steps, doing weekends planned out. And a big part of the reason that you fall apart on those weekends because you literally never had a plan. All right, let's get that. So here's, let's say, a practical weekend strategy for busy guys. Strategy one: just do 2 meals. And the first one's going to be protein and heavy veggies. The second one's going to be the one that you're going to eat out or go to the Super Bowl. That was this past Sunday. That's exactly what I did. I had this giant pan full of, I had lean ground turkey, spaghetti squash, and I had another vegetable. And this thing was a massive amount of food, but it was under 500 calories. That gave me plenty of room, 1,500 plus calories, to be able to enjoy the Super Bowl without feeling like I was getting wrecked and waking up the next day sad like the Patriots were for losing so much. Strategy two is always set limits around, okay, drink. I'm only going to have so much drink. I'm only going to have so many chips. I'm only going to have so many subs or wings or whatever's there. And then you have to stop. But ultimately, you have to have a plan that works for you. Reason number three: you're underestimating your intake and overestimating your calorie burn. This is just human nature. Most people do it. They literally will just underestimate how much food they put in their mouth in terms of calories. Studies and studies and studies have shown this to be true, that humans do this. And then your watch overestimates and is not accurate. Your trackers, the treadmill, even if you put the height weight in, it's not a sure sign. Most strength workouts going to burn 200 to maybe 600 calories at most. Most cardio sessions, you're lucky if you're burning 10 calories per minute. Okay. So if you do a full hour, 500 calories, maybe 600. To be doing more than that, you really have to be working pretty hard. But most people are going to end up being around 400 or so. So we got another analogy. It's like trying to save money while ignoring the small charges. $10 here, 20 there, subscriptions you forgot about. And now none of it feels big or a lot. But by the month's end, you end up seeing that there's a massive amount of bills, and that credit card statement is way higher than you want. Just even think of drinks and restaurants and all that stuff. I went out with my wife to have a little midday date, I suppose, between kids picking them up at school, and it cost us almost $30. for that experience, and it's like, holy Lord. So whatever goes in your mouth counts. That's the key takeaway here. Okay. You literally, if you're weighing and measuring it, then you're going to be as close and approximate as you can be. But if you're not, then we need to look at another approach around how to manage that stuff. So, uh, a lot of men think that the gym covers their food and keeps them checked off. Oh, I'm just going to work out really hard and I'll be fine. That's, I earned it. The truth is that's not how it is, right? I just talked about those calories. So we want to make sure that you're aware of how many calories you're actually burning. All right. Now, a couple other hidden dangers that we always see, blind spots, or so to speak, are cooking oil. So if you put oil in a pan, that's calories going into that pan. Sauces, unless they're specifically low calorie sauces, are going to be a problem. Those can add up by themselves 200 more calories in a day. Healthy snacks like nuts, granola, trail mix, peanut butter, things like that, those are healthy. I don't really suggest eating granola unless you actually know what you're doing and you're paying attention because granola is high calories. It tastes so good. That's why. Right? It's got a lot of honey, a lot of dense, starchy carbs, and it does taste good. So a quarter cup of granola can easily be 100 calories. A tablespoon of peanut butter, 100 calories. A quarter cup of nuts, 100 calories. We already know restaurant portions are serving up way too big of portions. Your 6 ounces of rice is often more like 10, and it's been cooked in oil. The steak that you asked, medium rare, was cooked in oil or butter. The veggies had oil on them, and all those things can add up. Again, we go over the liquid calories, alcohol, creamers and coffees, smoothies. Kids' leftovers is another one. A lot of people just put a little bit of couple pieces of food in their mouth and kabam, there's another 200 calories. So again, going back 14 days, really pay close attention. At the very least, write it down because what gets written down, you'll be able to track and measure it. But if you can use an app like Chronometer, and that'll help you out quite a bit. Number 4 of 5, stress and sleep are masking the problem. And that's a big thing in this season of life. For me, I'm recording this podcast at 9:40 at night. Why? Because my kids are not yet in bed. But I said goodnight to them, but I still hear them roaming around. Maybe you've heard Maxwell about 3 minutes ago making an obnoxious noise for whatever reason. And this is my life. And here you are on my podcast. It's just part of the deal with 4 kids. But you got a lot of responsibilities, and stress and sleep matter. If you are up longer, you will be way more likely to eat more than you should. Okay. Trying to lose fat while stressed and underslept is like driving with a parking brake on. The car is still moving, but it takes more effort, more time, more energy. It burns more fuel, not necessarily a good way. Something just doesn't feel right the whole time. Right? And you can't be your best when you're stressed and sleep deprived. So we got to figure out sleep. I'm actually going to be doing a 6 episode series on sleep coming up here in the next couple episodes here, probably in the 70s of the episodes. We'll start that. I'm pretty excited about it. I've got a lot of really great material to go over and dive into, and I hope that you are there to learn a lot about how to get higher quality of sleep. But that's something to look forward to. All right. Next up is going to go into reason number 5 is you're not giving it enough time. Unfortunately, that's a big thing in a lot of people's world, say developing skills. say this podcast. I would love it to shoot to the moon. I'm 67 podcasts in. It's building, but it's only been around for a couple months. If it's at the same spot it is now in a year, I'll be kind of upset. I'm not gonna lie. I've been pushing hard. January I released 18 episodes, and in February I plan to do very much similar and just keep these things rolling for you guys to learn and understand and change. Whether you do it yourself or you do it with me or someone else, this needs to improve your life. Okay. And I love getting feedback from people on the changes that they experience. All right. So, not giving you enough time. If you're going to lose 10 pounds, 1 to 2 pounds a week is sustainable. It's going to cost you 5 to 10 weeks. That's the realistic part of this. So, you just have to pay attention to that and make sure that you are focused on those as rules. If you have 40 pounds, do some math, 20 to 40 to 50 weeks of time that you might have to pay attention to this so much more. Right. And this is a big thing to make sure that you plan and plan and plan. And so that's huge. From there, we've got to make sure that you are going to have a consistent down slope over time for weight loss. Okay. It's not linear. Sometimes you lose more on some weeks, and sometimes you lose a little less on others. And there's so many reasons why the scale doesn't move the way you want. Water, salt, stress, sleep, sore muscles with inflammation, soreness in your body, inflammation, travel, your bowel movements, alcohol, all these things can have an impact on your body. If you lost 5 pounds in a week or 10 and you're like, whoa, well, that's usually water. Fat loss takes time. It's not fast. Fat loss takes time to burn it off. All right. We need to focus on building a simple, repeatable plan that you can continue well past 14 days and 14 weeks and 14 years. The goal is to get that type of approach locked in with a simple approach that you're able to repeat day in and day out, and you don't have to think too hard about it or work too hard. And that's something I've specialized in for 23 years, feeling world class at that. In the moment, you can see a lot of people's progress that have helped not only lose the weight, but the bigger issues is maintaining the weight. That's super important too. So we need to lose it and maintain it. I think that's America has a big weight maintenance issue. Key takeaways here: you need to pay attention for 14 days to get a really good understanding. We need to be accurate. We need to pay attention to every little bit of food that goes in our mouth. We need to double check that the calories are accurate and understand. Look at a nutrition label, please. That'll be a future episode as well. We'll go over how to read nutrition labels. Make a small adjustment, and then if nothing changes, then we drop it down. And that's a small adjustment, about 100 to 200 calories, and do that for 7 days. Or add 2,000 steps in a day. By doing this every 7 to 10 days, you're going to be able to get traction and progress. I hope that this has been really helpful here. And if you are looking for an in depth coaching opportunity, I have the Health Hot Seat. And I would love to have you on to Driven for Health podcast, where you and I will have a candid conversation about your situation and how to get the best approach for it. It's pretty basic. You're going to send me what you're eating and give me some details on your life, your lifestyle, steps, sleep, and the scale. And we're going to jump on and go over the exact things that I believe that would serve you best. If you want to jump on that, you just email me, Brian@brianparana.com. Well, that wraps up our call and our conversation today. If you're working hard and the scale isn't moving, it's a calorie issue. Okay. There's a movement issue. It's a pay attention to your weekend issue, manage your stress issue. And I know that's challenging, but there are solutions, and you might need to get out of your own way and have someone peek over your shoulder and offer those, or find someone to help guide you, whether it's me or someone else. Well, thank you so much. I hope that this left some really good impact for you. Again, leave a review if you could. That'd be awesome. I read them all, and comment. Tell me some of the topics that you would love, and I will get to it. Off we go. Thank you so much. All right. Elijah, welcome. Thanks for joining, my man. I am wrapping up here on this episode here. And then